Good afternoon. Happy Sunday, everybody. Lynn Westover here, your Director of Operations for Veterans Empowered to Protect African Wildlife. I thought today that I would jump on a quick little video with you and we could talk about some of the things that are currently happening within the organization and also do an interview with one of our team members on the ground. Today, I was able to luck out and pin one of our team leaders, Trevor Little, down for a little bit of time to answer some questions because a lot of people out there are interested in the guys on the ground and what they're doing and so on and so forth. So just a quick kind of background as far as Trevor. He's been with the organization pretty much since the beginning. He's probably, as far as time on service within the organization, the only person who's more senior to him would be Ryan Tate, our president and founder. Trevor's been instrumental in a lot of the operations that we've done on the ground. He's been there through thick and thin with us, and he's got a lot of great experience. Obviously, he's a veteran, and we'll talk a little bit more about his background. But yeah, without further ado, hey Trevor, how you doing, man?
Good.
Oh, I'm hanging in there. Hey, I appreciate you jumping on with me, taking some time. I know you guys got full moon operations going on, and as you had mentioned to me before, you got a little bit of a backlog of reporting to do, and we'll talk about that. But I guess first and foremost, guys doing well, animals doing well.
Yeah, man. Everyone on the ground is doing pretty good. All the animals are out and about. We've had some good weather lately, so basically monitoring those two new elephant bulls that we got.
Excellent.
Quite a bit.
Awesome. Well, I guess before we kind of get going into some of the most current stuff going on, I'd mentioned previously about your service in the military, and I don't know is that we got much of an opportunity to talk about that, and I'm sure people are interested. So let's start there. Like, when you were in the service, first of all, what branch were you with, and like what kind of deployments were you on, so on and so forth.
So I was in the Army. I was in the infantry, and I was with the first of the 506 first, through Korea and into Iraq for my first deployment. Basically, Habaniya between Fallujah and Ramadi, back and forth. And then my second deployment was Southeast Baghdad, the outdoor market. Interesting places.
Yeah, you mentioned Habaniya and Fallujah. I think there was one point in time, because when you and I first met, man, what year was that? Was that 2015? Like August of 2015?
Correct.
Yeah, it was after. I think it was not too long after you guys got back from Tanzania and getting prepped. We were doing some training. I wasn't even really a part of the organization, and I was just there to help out with some training. And I think we were sitting around the campfire talking about Habaniya and Fallujah. I forget, what years were you there?
August 04 to August 05.
Okay. Yeah. So right after, I think we crossed paths. I think we, like ships in the night, we passed. Amazing. So after you left the service, tell me a little bit about what it was like first getting out, kind of things that you were trying to do and figure out as far as just, I'm sure, career stuff, so on and so forth in that transition. But then maybe talk about how you found VETPAW and where that kind of went.
Sure, man. So when I got out way back when in 2008, I moved to New York, originally from California, but I moved to the East Coast. I'd had a couple older siblings living out there, and was going to go to school and try to get on the fire department. That was like my main goal. And when I moved out there, there was a huge lawsuit with the city and so the fire exam. So I was just biding my time, going to school, going to paramedic school, waiting for that test to open up. Started bartending. doing all kinds of odd jobs, security, worked on an indie movie, all kinds of random stuff. But then I think it was 2014. I was catering. I'd gotten to take the fire exam by that time, so I was waiting for a slot for the fire academy. And a buddy of mine that I was catering with, bartending alongside Brent, was actually a mutual friend. Well, now we're mutual friends, but Ryan Tate's good friend from college. And so he'd always tell me, like, oh, you know, we'd get a drink after the shift we were working. He'd always tell me, you got to meet my buddy, man. You guys would click. He's going to go to Africa and save the elephants. I'd be like, yeah, right, man, whatever. Sounds good. But eventually one day he invited me to go to a fundraiser, Ryan's fundraiser in New York. And so I figured I'd go along and listen to Ryan speak for about 15 minutes and kind of like, you know, hadn't had that feeling of wanting to be a part of something or anything like that in a while. And after hearing him talk about what he was trying to get accomplished and where he wanted to go, I kind of, I don't know, it made me excited. Not that I was, you know, had any aspirations at the time or expectations of possibly being. And then we got to chatting after he made his speech, after he was done kind of, you know, doing the old meet and greet with everybody that came and stuff. And we chatted, and it turns out we were, like we were talking about, we definitely probably crossed paths because he was in Ramadi through that time when I was in Habania, and I was always going back and forth to Ramadi. So we chatted for that about 30, 45 minutes, and he was kind of asking me if I was interested in ever doing something like what he was trying to do. And I was like, absolutely, man, that would be my dream job. And he's like, oh, I'll get, you know, your email or something from Brent, and we'll keep in contact. I'm trying to get over there as soon as possible. I was like, cool, man, that'd be great. I was like, oh, that's nice of him to say that. I didn't, you know, necessarily expect to hear from him or anything, but actually over time, he was living in New York at the time. And so Brent would bring him into one of the bars I was working with, and we chatted up and kind of kept in contact a little bit. And then I think it was the day after Christmas, I worked a day shift at one of the bars I was working with at the time, and went around the corner to get a bite to eat and have a beer or something. I get a call from Ron. He was like, hey, man, how soon can you be ready to go to Africa? And I was like, oh, damn, dude, I got to call my place of work and let him know, but like maybe a day or two. He's like, whoa, no, dude, how's February now?
You know,
like,
it reminds me.
No, absolutely.
You remember that? I don't know how much Saturday Night Live you used to watch, but there was, back in the days when Will Ferrell was a regular guy on there, there was a show, like a skit that they did, and he's like some famous art designer. I think that's where they actually got some of the inspiration from Zoolander from. But he like walks in, he has like this little itty bitty cell phone, and he's like, hello, yes, okay, excellent. And then he closes his cell phone and he's like, how quickly can you have your bags packed for Milan? And everybody in the skit's losing their mind. But it does kind of remind me of that. I know I had a similar experience. It's like, and that's just the way things work, right? With Africa, like you're constantly kind of in this waiting game, waiting for conditions to be set so that you can move on something or even just get there. And it's kind of like, okay, like I guess I'm gonna jump on this, because when would there be another chance that I could ever do this in my life, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
So when you first got to Africa, because I know for me, I can speak for myself in saying that, you know, I had some preconceived notions. You know, most of us, you know, if we grown up watching PBS or watching the Discovery Channel, you see all these different documentaries. You watch National Geographic, more contemporary times, things like Animal Planet and stuff like that. And I guess you have this overall perception of what you think the continent of Africa is, not even realizing, like most people say, first of all, the term Africa, they mean like they in their mind think like country, and it's like, no, there's like, I don't know how many hundreds of countries there are in the continent of Africa, and it's, you have this picture in your head of like how huge and immense this thing is, but nothing really prepares you for that. And just how diverse as well, like all the different cultures are. I mean, there's really no other place like it in the world, right? So what was that like for you, based on what you thought versus what reality ended up being once you got over to the continent of Africa?
Yeah, I kind of considered all of that before I was going, and I was trying to go into it with like no preconceived notions whatsoever, just kind of a blank slate. But of course, like you mentioned, you do have these things. If you were, interested in them when you were younger, of course, you've got like National Geographic, which I was an avid fan of. My parents were always big animal lovers, and so it was encouraged in my house. I'd bring home every damn lizard I could find at school, stuff like that. But getting there, I think it was a few days to where, like when we were in Tanzania, before it's kind of settled in, when we went into the crater, in the Ngorongoro crater, and got to see all the wildlife pretty much for the first time in their like, natural element in their ecosystem. And that was kind of like a bit overwhelming, just seeing everything together, elephants hanging out near lions with hippos in the watering hole, a black rhino was kind of surreal. And I mean, like I was expecting it to be a little less than that, kind of, like I wanted it to be all that and more. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I was expecting, like we'll see something here and there, not everything in all of its element. And that was kind of like blew me away. And I was like, man, I'll never leave if I don't have to.
So you've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. And like a lot of the people you meet in doing this type of work in conservation and whatnot, there's a lot of genuine people that you meet that are in it for the right reasons. Of course, there's a lot of people that are, could be in it for questionable reasons or whatnot throughout the continent. It's a very easily exploited profession, but mainly, a lot of the times the veterinarians you work with, the APUs that you work with, all the rangers throughout Africa, it's like a lot of the time you see it's like these people's heritage, and it's a cool thing to be a part of and work with a lot of these people as well, from all different walks of life. Africans aren't just Africans. You speak multiple languages in every country, so it's
so
it's cool.
Now since you've been in Africa for quite a while, and I know for a lot of the things that we've been working on, and you and Justin, we'll have Justin on in another episode, because he definitely, I certainly appreciate his personality and his perspective on things too, which I think is neat. Just like you mentioned, no one country in Africa necessarily resembles another. They're so diverse, and the same thing holds true with our veterans, right? Everybody has this picture maybe in their mind of like, a typical veteran, but there's a lot of diverse personalities and opinions, so I've come to respect that. But for you guys on the ground, recently, with the pandemic and everything, and I've mentioned this, and actually I did a podcast with my wife on her channel, and I was talking to a bunch of her followers and subscribers about it. But when when this pandemic started to really take shape and kick off, we had that conversation and essentially said, hey, listen, guys, as always, I mean, you guys, for the most part, I mean, this is a labor of love for you. You guys nobody's putting a gun to your head to be out there. And certainly, it's working for a nonprofit. So, there's all the things that come with that. But when we asked you guys, like, hey, how do you feel? Do you guys, do you feel like you need to get home? Every single one of you has families that you care about and that care about you. Um, but to a man, every single one of you is like, no, this is too important. We can't, because we had no idea if anybody left. That was the big issue, right? If anybody left, who knew how long these travel bans were going to go, and essentially, what kind of a vacuum would that leave? And so, I guess, we had a live stream not too long ago, kind of towards the beginning of it, and you and Justin came on and talked about a few things. But how's it been now? Like, how have you seen, how has it affected at least the area that you're in? And have you seen any changes as time has moved on with regard to the pandemic and its effect on the reserve and the communities around the reserves?
Yeah, no, we had like quite a few long conversations right when it was kicking off about like, prepping for probably being here for an extended period of time. Which we made sure everyone on the team was all on the same page. Everyone was on board with extending. We got lucky with a good group of guys who who really love being out here, and then everyone's talked. Of course, every one of us would love to go visit our families or whatnot and have that break. But our families also understand how much we care about this, and so I think they're a little bit understanding of us not wanting to risk leaving and not being able to come back for who knows how long. But the changes we noticed immediately, like a lot of people were scared. It was a major concern, and I think South Africa did a good job of kind of shutting down quickly, just to protect there is a lot of poverty here, and a lot of people with limited access to healthcare. So if the virus had spread through any of the local villages where they live in very condensed areas, it would be detrimental. But I think everyone kind of like, and there were risks like with the lesser educated communities not adhering to the advice from the government, and those were all concerns and speculation. But I think overall everyone did a pretty good job, at least in our area, in the surrounding areas near us. But yeah, I think just everyone was basically protecting themselves and doing their part to protect other people as well. It was just kind of like a common courtesy thing. And so far now we've been able to kind of open up the reserve to more guests, locals, of course, not out of country or anything like that, but people who want to come and take a drive on the property, come from a little further away, and see some of the animals we have. So it's kind of, and everyone's still taking the precautions that you're supposed to. Everyone wearing masks once they've been on the farm for a while. It's especially with us, kind of like we have to go into town for groceries or anything like that, or get fuel up. We're hand sanitizing and wearing masks. When we go into the village and do the sustainability project with them, they've all got masks. Have been donated by the reserve, and they, as far as I've seen, they do a pretty good job of wearing them when they have other people coming in or if they're going in and out of town. So slowly it looks like we're getting back. This the major concern still is how long do they want to keep those borders closed? Because of course the economy is suffering. Tourism is a huge portion of the economy in South Africa. So a lot of reserves are really hurting for business at the moment. But yeah, it's that kind of question of whether or not it's worth the risk, or if it's smarter to just wait a little bit longer and see if anything subsides. I don't know. We'll see what the government does, but I've been pretty impressed with them sticking to the lockdown and enforcing. Not really even having to enforce, just putting out these guidelines. People, in my experience, I've seen everyone adhering to the rules and whatnot. So,
how with regard to the sustainability project, I mean, what was the response that you saw from that when you guys still continued to go out there and engage with the locals with specific, like, were they surprised to see you guys still there,
or? Yes, a few of them, like some of the other families. We have like points of contact there that we do most of our communication with. We kind of prep them beforehand, like, listen, we're going to be here. We're not going to leave you high and dry or anything like that. We promised we were going to do some things, and we want to fulfill those commitments we made. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, it's helped develop the relationship in a positive light further. I think what I've seen, just because they see that we're committed, we're here, we're living right down the road, coming and seeing how their soccer tournaments going, or and just basically keeping in touch and seeing if there's anything we can do to help, sit in their meetings, their community meetings that they do monthly. So it's I think us being here is or at least committing to staying through the lockdown, or gives them a little confidence in us that we're going to stick around and do our part to follow through on our commitments we made to them, and keep on working together.
Awesome. Well, definitely send our best out to those guys. I know a lot of people are thinking about that as well. There's more at stake than just you guys and the animals. There's also the rest of the community, and I know it was pretty tough at first because a lot of the folks from the community actually worked on the reserve as well, and so having to make those hard choices for lockdowns and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot more that the support that our donors were giving you guys than just helping you guys out as individuals. And to that note, so I know you got to get going. You got some reports you got to catch up on, and you got a few patrols you got to make. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me, Trev. But last year was our first year as a charity partner for the Marine Corps Marathon. And I had goaded you into running that race. And I love it because you showed up. I was asking you, I'm like, hey, how's training going? And so on and so forth. And you showed up to the marathon smoking a cigarette. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is baller level status. So if you wouldn't mind, you want to just kind of talk a little bit briefly about what that was like? Because I can't be too certain, but I don't think that was your first actual marathon, was it? Or I know it was your first Marine Corps marathon.
Yeah, it's the first one in a long time. I hadn't ran a full marathon since my early 20s, I think. So yeah, and then I've always been an avid kind of distance runner. Somewhat. I dabbled, I guess, but did quite a few halves back in between 8 and 10 years ago. but yeah, I was kind of, I was like, oh yeah, I should do another marathon, see where I'm at. And, so I was kind of excited for it. I was kind of dreading it at the same time, but well, you know how it was. It was a thunderstorm.
Dude, that last year's marathon was
Interesting.
like I ran that marathon during like right before Hurricane Sandy. Um and I remember the signs and everybody like, "Ah, you better hurry, Sandy's coming." And I thought that was kind of miserable. And then last year was the first year they did the 50K, the ultra, and I'm like, "Oh, I got to do that cuz I'm a part of the runners club." And yeah, it like starting that morning because I like to get there a little early because I'm not really a big fan of going through those checkpoints and stuff and being surrounded by 30,000 of your best friends you never knew you had. And it was just I did a post about it actually. It was just pure like recon sunshine. Like if I was still in the military, that would have been the perfect time to step off on a patrol or whatever because there's nobody seeing nothing or hearing nothing. They would have no idea you were there. And I just remember being soaked like a drowned rat, man. It was tough, and I was like, oh, and I got an extra, few miles to tack onto it. But no, I was impressed. You came out, you supported. It was a really good opportunity as well to get to meet some folks because that is the tricky thing about with our organization because we're international and we have veterans from all walks of life from all different states of the union and even we have some guys who served in coalition forces as well who help out in Africa with us. But it's kind of difficult because last year was our first year as a charity partner, and I was really looking forward to this year because we had some lessons learned and things like that, and of course COVID hits, and I was disappointed to see the live event get canceled, but for the first time ever, they put out like virtual bibs to everybody. In the past, they would do it for folks deployed. So if you were active duty, you were deployed overseas or stationed abroad, you could participate in a marathon and earn a finisher's medal and so on and so forth. But then they went wide to everybody else. And so once again, I call you up. And I was like, hey, Trev, you and some of the guys, I want you guys to run in Africa. It's the first time ever we're going to get to do this. And I think it totally proves the point because that's really what it is to me in my brain. Like, we're in the race to fight extinction. And it is not a sprint. It is a dedicated, long, arduous. You have every stakeholder involved that you possibly can. I mean, there are so many more other organizations out there just besides us. Anybody who is, dedicated to the efforts of conserving these animals and in their ecosystems, that's a big monumental task to take on. So when you agreed to run the 50K, that definitely threw me for a loop because we still had regular marathon bibs, but I guess so. Talk me through it, like because we're obviously we discussed this before. We're not going to disclose your route on online just because of the security issues with that because you'll be running it on the reserve. But I'm kind of jealous. Like it's pretty cool. Pretty much every time I've run the marathon, it's right usually on the tail end of my trip coming back from Africa. My year, because I do at least one trip a year. This year being the first year I haven't done it because of COVID. But like usually I'm getting off the plane and running the race, and I gotta say I'm a little jealous. You're gonna run the 50K there on the reserve. So what are your thoughts? How are you going to put this on? And do you have anybody who's going to join you, maybe from the village or some of the other rangers who are out there with you? Are they gonna help you out? Like what's your plans?
Yeah, like one of the game managers expressed interest in running with me, so I'm the holding to it, and then a couple other team members are going to run legs of it. Run the whole thing with me. But yeah, no, we're excited. It's kind of the route we have planned, we're gonna, we got to pick a nice day coming up just to, hopefully we get some animals along the way. Not too close, but at least just to spot them. But it's exciting, and that's part of the reason I wanted to do the 50K, because like it's one thing to run on concrete and or through buildings and whatnot, but like out in the middle of the property out here, I mean, it's amazing. Like, I go on long runs, just when I do a little run for my own sanity out here, like I'm probably going to go for 3 or 4 miles. Ends up being 6, 7, 8, just because I see something cool and I want to go run near. So, so I think I'm not too worried about it. We've been prepping it up to, a couple, like we've done a few haps so far. So, and both feeling good about it, Connor and I. So, not too worried about it. And I did the marathon last year, so I figured might as well do the 50K this year.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's supposed, this year's medals, finishers medals, are supposed to be pretty cool too, because it is the 75th anniversary for the Battle of Iwo Jima, which is
Right.
most famously depicted in the at the Marine Corps War Memorial when they summited Mount Suribachi, and it was one heck of a campaign. And so that's why I'm glad they continued to do it even virtually, because it is kind of time is significant and has relevance and meaning, and it's that last part is always that that last little bit. Do I have that full measure to make it to the end? So well, good luck to you on that. I'll be running my 50K with Dylan on the 10th, on the Marine Corps birthday. So, but we'll definitely be talking then, and we'll, after you and Connor run, what we'll do is we'll have another we'll do another phone call, and we'll get, because I know you're going to capture some video, but it's going to be amazing. I mean, the last time I was in Africa at the reserve, I was doing a little bit of prep for the race, and I had Allison running with me, and it blew her away, because it is really something when you're out there on foot. I mean, you guys do that all the time anyways, when you're checking fence lines and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So you can't see it, but what I am doing right now is I'm actually throwing up your fundraiser page for the marathon. So if you want to support Trevor, he's actually one of our team members on the ground that's going to be running this, and you're going to go to www.fundraisers.hakuapp.com/Trevor-little-1. Throw him some support. He's been rocking and rolling. He's got a little write up there, and it would mean a lot to us. Already I can see some pretty significant donations there. So I'll give a quick shout out to some of your donors, like Chris Wagner, thank you, sir. Candace Mullerby, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Jack Little, that's your brother, isn't it?
Either that or my brother or my dad.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. So thanks, Jack. We appreciate that, whichever one that was. Kathy Canfills and Cindy Cataldo, thank you guys so much. It does mean a lot. And Trevor, for everything you've done and you're going to do and what you guys are doing on the ground, I sincerely appreciate it. And it's funny how, you're already out there giving so much of yourselves, and then you guys agree to do this and help out with this. And so for everybody who's watching this, please go check it out. Support those guys. Or you can go to the main page and find another runner to support. Everybody likes Trevor. I don't think we have a conversation yet ever where we forget to mention how a lot of people think you're reminiscent of Mike Rowe. You have that same kind of easygoing, nice, deep voice. He's already shaking his head. I tell you what, if I ever have a documentary done about me, if I was ever important enough to have one, I would want Trevor Little to narrate it. So
I'll be glad to.
That's for sure. So thanks, Trevor. Good luck tonight. Be safe. Please pass our best on to the guys. And Yeah, that's all I have. Is there any saved rounds you have?
Now, thanks a lot, Lynn, for letting me talk to everyone. Thanks everyone for your continued support. It's much appreciated. Myself, guys on the ground, the animals, rangers we work with, staff, everything. So, again, much appreciated. Can't say it enough.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Trevor, for everything. It means a lot to us. Hey guys, that's going to kind of conclude our little talk for today. Look forward to having more of these. We're trying to get better at this stuff. Being a bunch of dumb grunts like we are, we have to figure out the whole tech side of things, but I like to think we're getting better at it. We'll give you updates on how the guys are doing and how things are going for the race and stuff, so you can expect a few more videos. And in the meantime, please check us out. Like and subscribe to us on various social media and YouTube. We're going to start building more video content, as well as start putting in some of our really amazing camera footage that we have. We have the VETPAW trail cams that we've been generating a lot of content with, so we got to start putting that out for you guys so you can get more visibility on what's going on the ground. But yeah, so again, thank you again so very much for your support and your donations, and until next time, thank you.